Greetings, YouTube. Crystal Mason voted while on probation erroneously. She did not know that it was illegal for her to vote while on probation, which to me sounds like a glaring failure of her parole officer, who really should have made sure that she knew all of the different things that you can and cannot do while out on parole. Um, so yeah, I'd get a good lawyer and sue the living crap out of that person. But because she did this accidentally, she was given 5 years in prison. She has since been acquitted, which is awesome. Um, why you can't vote while on parole is beyond me. I, 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 I am baffled by this. I'm also baffled by the fact why you can't vote while in prison. And why do I say this? I say this because you count as part of the population in that demographic. If you're in prison, you are part of that population, which means demographically, you inflate the number of the people that that politician is in control of, which is potentially going to bump up the number of politicians they are, because when you reach certain limits, they tend to divide those zones. So there are greater representation for politician, at least in theory. And that doesn't that kind of seem to you like a justification to inflate prison populations to make you seem to be demographically more important? And yet the people in your demographic zone can't vote? That almost seems like it's kind of shady. But what's more important, to me at least, is that she did this by accident and was eventually acquitted, which is great. However, recently, a Georgia Republican Party official, this is an official within the Georgia Republican Party, okay, of the state Republican organization, has been found to have voted illegally 9 times. 9 times. I want. I wonder how much time he's going to spend in prison. Now, I should point out that Crystal Mason is a black woman, and that Georgia Republican official is an old white guy. So I want you to do the math there for me, the American math, because that's what we're discussing here right here. The uh, the American math that is firmly based on white nationalism and white supremacy. I don't imagine he's ever going to see a day in jail. In fact, I'd be really shocked if he gets bumped off out of his position. And if he were to run for re-election, I'm sure he'd win because the Red Caps would see his cheating the system as, go out there and get in the libs. But if somebody erroneously votes because they weren't told they can't, the Red Caps will then, of course, dogpile on that person and say how they were a sleeper agent put there by Biden himself. You know how it works. The double standards are broad in the Red Cap community. Um, so yeah, we really seriously need to redo our voting rights here in America. We need to make sure that everyone has access to voting, and I mean everyone. And I see no reason why you can't vote if you're in prison. I really don't. Just have them do mail-in. It's that simple. Mail-in ballots. I plan on doing mail-in ballots for this upcoming election um, because it's just simpler and it's know that I don't have to be exposed to people at the polls um, and the absolute craziness that is probably going to be, going on at the polls. Not to mention, it means my vote will actually be counted. Uh, but we need to make sure that there is no disenfranchisement. We need to redo voting districts. We need to destroy gerrymandering. We need to make sure that there are drop-off spots. Make sure that everyone gets the chance to vote, and we should completely do away with the concept of having to be registered to vote. If you are 18 years old and or a U.S. citizen, you can vote in any federal, state, county, or municipal election, period. No more need for registration. Whether you are registered or aren't registered, doesn't matter. You are an American, you're over the age of 18 or older, you can vote. That would streamline things a whole lot now, wouldn't it? Which is, of course, why the GOP is so deathly afraid of that concept. Remember, when voter numbers are down, the GOP wins. It's always been that way since the 1960s. So the GOP does everything it can to tackle that topic and make sure they put as many obstacles as possible in the path of Democratic voters. Um, so yeah, I'm glad Crystal Mason has been acquitted. And I really hope that that Georgia official gets a severe penalty. I just don't think he's going to.